For you, if the Bears win out and the Rams lose just one more, the Bears get the number 2 seed. They clinch the NFC North and a playoff berth for the first time since 2010. The Bears knocked out Aaron Rodgers. This was a really sweet one for me growing up in Chicago. I have a first-generation pure Bears family. Okay. My sister married a Wisconsin boy, Appleton, Wisconsin, to be specific, a purebred Packers fan. We have a blended NFL family, if you will. My brother and brother-in-law have a pizza bet. I told you guys about this a couple of years ago. And so every time they play each other, one of them has to, the loser has to send the winner a pizza whenever they want it. Dinner's on me. Yesterday, my dad calls me and says, Chicago gets the pizza for the first time since Good Morning Football has even been on the air. So it's a little sweeter, the fact that they clinch over the Packers to get the NFC North. I got to tell you guys, I have news. I got engaged.
Oh, to the Bears.
Not to the person.
To
the Bears.
Oh, to the Bears.
I'm in this relationship with them. I'm in this relationship with them, and I was nervous. I kept my apartment. Apartment's gone. We are engaged. They won the NFC North. They're going to the playoffs, ride or die. They beat Aaron Rodgers. I'm done.
Got tattoos last week, right? Yes. Tattoos before the engagement.
Well, we got tattoos because it was like a crazy in the moment. They shut out the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams.
They only scored 6 points.
It was like Vegas.
But now, I mean, they came straight to my dad's house. He's eating his pizza. He asked him if he could propose, and he did.
Okay. All right.
Atlanta honeymoon? I was going to say, honeymoon in Atlanta?
Honeymoon in Atlanta, maybe. It's nice that time of year. A little bit worried about Eddie Jackson. He is the playmaker on this team on the defensive side of the ball, but
I don't like you talking about Eddie Jackson like that. You just got engaged. Be happy.
Yeah,
come on.
But it's so nice.
It was a great engagement, but his proposal wasn't quite perfect.
I can't fully enjoy the moment ever. So
well, listen, Kay, I agree with you. Eddie Jackson is the playmaker. He's not the only playmaker, though. Khalil Mack is the heart and soul of his defense. And for me, it is Khalil Mack and what he brings to the table. And if you look at Khalil Mack, over the couple of games he's had against the Packers this year, 9 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 3 QB hits, forced fumble, and a defensive TD. And the reason I bring up those stats, Peter Schrager, is because if you're going to beat the Packers, you got to get after the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers has never been right in his entire career. But going into this game, he knows he has to face Khalil Mack. He knows exactly what he brings to the table, not against other teams, but Khalil Mack brings his level of game up a notch facing the Packers. So for me, Khalil Mack going in and knowing if we're going to be the little brother, beating up on the big brother, I'm going to have to get after the quarterback. I'm going to have to make sure he feels the pressure, that he feels my body, he feels my arms, he feels these sacks. And that's exactly what he did. Even though at the end of the game, Aaron Rodgers sitting there with that blank face saying, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to have another heroic comeback. He knows that Khalil Mack is always looming. And if you have Khalil Mack on this team, with those type of numbers he's putting up against who some people say is the best quarterback in football, this is why the Chicago Bears are as dominant as they are.
There's a cool story with the Chicago Bears, and it's that they kind of overnight transformed themselves. And I think it started wild card weekend last year when Matt Nagy has this horrible playoff loss as the Chiefs offensive coordinator. Titans come all the way back. Chiefs couldn't get it going. And the very next morning, on a Monday after a Saturday playoff loss, the Bears announced that the offensive coordinator of a team that absolutely collapsed on national television is going to be our next head coach. And a lot of Bears fans were like, that's the best we could do? Like, we're getting
the Alex Smith guy?
Not Josh McDaniels, not Matt Patricia. We're getting Matt Nagy, Alex Smith's whisperer. And this guy can coach his head off. I'll tell you what, that team yesterday, at no point in that game, even when it was 14-14, did I fear that the Bears were going to crumble. And Nagy, to me, is the best coach in the NFC this season. I think Anthony Lynn has been the AFC's best coach. I think Matt Nagy has run circles around his brethren in the NFC. Credit to them and credit to Ryan Pace, who had the courage to say, let's go with Matt Nagy, a guy who might not be the popular pick here in Chicago, and then spend the money on a Trey Burton, who played big yesterday, and spend the money on a Khalil Mack, who played huge yesterday, and spend the money on a head coach that maybe not everyone in the NFL was lining up to hire. I think Matt Nagy has been a fantastic coach and has changed the culture there in Chicago.
He had to beat the Packers. Had to do it. You know,
that was like the final. I wasn't all...
I know what you mean. And I look at Bears and Packers as sort of like a family, you know, and like with a family, it comes a photo album. And I just look at this rivalry, and I've looked at the album so many times, and I just see Jordy Nelson running free through the secondary, Randall Cobb, B.J. Raji is dancing in Soldier Field. I'm looking at Mark Trestman on the sideline, and his glasses are fogging up, and John Fox is screaming, and James Starks, Eddie Lacy. Aaron Rodgers has a national commercial based purely around the idea that he shuts out Soldier Field. Can you imagine that? He said, yeah, that sounds good. I go to Soldier Field and win every time. Let's do it, guys. And it was right. And he changed all that. And you know, there was a moment that was a little off the radar that I knew, I think things are different. End of the first half, the Packers are in Hail Mary range, and the Michelangelo of Hail Marys chucks one. There's no way this wasn't going to be complete. Look how perfect it is. Finds his time. I've done this all day. It's the perfect Hail Mary. It's a touchdown for the Packers, right? They actually knocked it down. I would have bet my life that was going to be.
A year ago, that does get caught.
100%. Maybe even, Peter, a couple months ago.
You're right.
They knocked it down. I said, all right, if Rodgers isn't doing those things, maybe they got a shot to beat him. And the next picture in that family album is Khalil Mack with a backwards sack beating Rodgers finally. This was more than just the score. This was more than the standings. This is a history. This is family. This is a new beginning. This meant so much to the Bears, the city of Chicago, the country, my family. Massive,
America.
massive. My son, a massive.
But
December 16, 2018, Calvin. The Bears beat them. It all changed. It was like the Franz Ferdinand assassination. It changed the world.
And we mentioned Eddie Jackson, and we mentioned Khalil Mack and Nagy, and we will not leave this segment without talking about Mitchell Trubisky because there were questions about him. He had 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in his previous 5 starts, Nate. Yesterday, he's completing over 70% of his passes. He does not turn the ball over. He's playing mistake-free football. If Mitchell Trubisky plays just like that, they will beat everyone else.
Talk about it.
If Mitchell Trubisky plays that way with that defense, who's stopping them?
That's a bold statement, Kay. I'm not willing to say that, but that's a bold statement.
They beat the hell out of the Rams, and he played terribly. Now he's better. Somebody's got to go into Soldier Field and try to win a playoff game.
No team has had 2 back-to-back wins as impressive as the Bears the last 2 weeks.
They beat the Rams, but there was still nervousness. I wasn't getting engaged to them after that Rams game because there was still the way that Mitchell Trubisky played that was concerning. If he can be consistent, which is something that we criticize a lot of quarterbacks for. I just criticized Dak for being that way. If he can play like this, the hot streak
Chicago
will
Bears
continue.
are a great team. Just remember, not much playoff experience with that squad.
Very fair to say.
Shock some people.
Let's talk about the Colts because they shocked a lot of people. They won 6